Well, I'm talking with Lord-Brennan, Minister for the Cabinet Office. Obviously, this is all very new department. You've had a few weeks in there. And before we talk about our island plan, maybe explain to some people, and people have asked me, what exactly is your position? How does it fit within government?
Well, the Cabinet Office has got a responsibility now for ensuring that those initiatives that are cross-departmental are working effectively to deliver for people. A big part of that I'm interested in is the establishment of a central policy unit to make sure that we can have the proper policy development, bringing in the expertise and data as necessary, and an important part that people perhaps will be more interested about will be about the delivery of the island plan. There will need to be some structures around that in terms of delivery and accountability, so that's going to be a big part of it for me in terms of Cabinet Office.
Are you looking forward to this?
I am, yes, I am. I think it's really important for the island that we've got a clear sense of direction and something that people can get behind.
Okay, so our island plan, it's the sort of first draft. We've got all the copies, very nice pictures and that sort of thing. Do you want to give me an overview and to the audience what this documentation is likely to involve?
Sure. I mean, it started off really from taking that feedback from MHKs that have been out, obviously canvassing on the doorsteps, taking those priorities and seeking to reflect those priorities into something that government can lead on, but ultimately Tynwald and hopefully people on the island can get behind. It was really clear from an early stage Tynwald members workshop, and there's really been 2 of those that have happened so far, that people were keen and enthusiastic to get behind the idea of a vision for the Isle of Man as being a secure, vibrant and sustainable place in the future. And from that, there are really 5 key themes that have come forward that are quite cross-cutting, that would seek to provide a higher level framework for where government needs to focus its efforts and resources. And I believe they are things that will resonate with people, and I'm looking forward to the feedback on that. And they are building strong communities, an island for well-being and health, an environment that we can be proud of. Of course, you've got to have a strong economy in there as well, and also opportunities for learning, lifelong learning and development for all. So they're quite cross-cutting themes that there'll be many strands towards.
This is an outline. As you said there, for more input. The input from people, from government departments, who? Both.
So the intention with this draft plan, and it is very high level, so much detail will be left to come, is that first of all it will be debated as a draft plan in Tynwald next week. So MHKs will be able to put their views forward to a greater degree, and also there'll be able to be engagement with the public, not only via reflecting into MHKs what they think it should be included in the plan or where the future direction should be, but also there's plans to consult on this island plan over the next few weeks. There will be an email address set up for that, and also more public engagement in terms of there being a roadshow really that will take the plan at its high level at the moment, north, south, east and west. So that is absolutely a point to have the people give their input into the plan at an early stage before finalisation in January.
Okay, but you know what this means. Everyone's going to have an opinion. You're not going to hear necessarily 100% one thing, are you? So you're going to get a mix of opinions. How do you then form the opinions of that? I mean, you don't just go for the majority, or do you? I mean, and you have your own ideas. Government departments have their own ideas. It's very wishy-washy, surely, isn't it, to do this?
I think that early engagement piece is necessary for people to feel like they are heard and they're listened to, and also just to check that the right direction is being pursued. And I think it is right that people have a chance to input in that. It could be from community groups, and actually it will help departments and ministers settle a lot of the detail, which will be yet to come. So I think it's a really positive thing that it's being handled in this way. It's good for transparency, it aids debate, and I think it'll make for a positive future direction for the island.
I mean, all MHKs stood for what they believed in. They got in on their own beliefs. Do they all come together in one uniform way? Surely not.
I I agree, but actually I was surprised at the common themes that came through, and I think that's part of why it's possible to put something out at this stage so early to be refined at a later date. So yeah, I actually do think that people will get behind this vision. And
yeah, but it's very airy-fairy, as I said. I mean, it's a mission statement. If I was in the corporate world, this would look like a mission statement. Yeah. And it's one of those things that everyone believes, one government, one all together, gun-ho, and you've got Alf there leading us over the trenches and that sort of thing. But it's got to have some meat, right? It's got to have meat.
There's definitely lots of detail that will need to come, but I think it's much better to talk to people about it at this early stage whilst that work is going on. So I think it'll actually add to things, definitely.
Right, so give us some highlights, things that there is some policy in here, albeit sort of vague-ish, but give us some real meat, any meat you can on the bones.
Okay, well, I think first of all, the key difference is about the approach. The fact that it's being put out so early so that people can have input is one thing. But then also there's been consideration given to how delivery will take place. And there will be a board set up to ensure and drive forward the delivery of the island plan. There's recognition that to have proper, well thought out policy decisions, that needs some special sort of
Is it going to cut through the red tape, in other words? I mean, there's flow charts here, and isn't that what I'm going to be hearing, that things can be actually moved faster?
It will break down the silo thinking and drive things forward. This is what people want. They want delivery and focus on the key issues, and that's partly why, as part of this, there'll be a housing communities board set up, as well as the climate change board. And it's right that the chairs and the political representatives around that will be working to fill in some of the specific details around that. But I think it's been a really hard time for the island, so I think it would have been a mistake to not put something forward quickly. And we are really only 3 weeks into the administration. Pending specific details that we've brought forward by ministers, and then their plans will also be debated in Tynwald. And they will be bringing annual reports to Tynwald as well, and Cabinet Office will bring its own plan, and as all the other departments. So great to set out the framework and the vision, but absolutely at ease with that being much more detailed to settle. And
do you sit on all the different boards and committees and that sort of thing, or are you overseeing it and making things, whipping when required or something like that, moving along?
It's the different structures that are in Cabinet Office, the formation of those sort of depends on the political involvement at the time, but it will be a responsibility that I have to make sure that some of the cross-cutting government things work, and particularly for the policy and strategy area as well, and seeing that delivery happens and everything comes together.
So it gets laid before Tynwald this month. Then you set yourself what sort of time frame for absolutely nailing it down? Early next year?
January is when the finalised plan will be brought to Tynwald. So we've got between the next few weeks for any input, feedback, engagement. MHKs can handle that as they wish, and I think that it will be really great to hear contributions to the debate, which will aid the development of the plan in an open, transparent way, and indicates the listening approach that government is taking towards shaping up the priorities.
And a direction, that's what I'm trying to hear. There's an actual direction for the next 5 years for government.
Yes. But arguably, I think it's really helpful for people to think about what we want the island to be in maybe 10 or 15 years, which I guess is the point of having a vision which includes having a secure, vibrant and sustainable island, because you need to keep that in sight in order to focus, resources, direction, policies, it all needs to flow together.
And you get everyone on board, or as many people as you get on board, I'm guessing, to get this one through. And then you'll have a review, every 6 months or a year? Will you be coming back to Tynwald with your updates?
It will be kept under review and then debated every year, because obviously within a 5-year plan things may need to change, so you need to have that agility and responsiveness in there. And as we know, you just don't know what challenges may come up or what might become different priorities for people. So part of that will be having an annual Tynwald conference, again to facilitate that sort of input and engagement with the public. So these things are not happening in an isolated, closed way from Council of Ministers, but in a much more open, transparent and accountable possible way.
Fine. And as I said, there's nothing controversial in here. As it stands, it's all very fuzzy and warm, and everyone wants the same outlook. I mean, who doesn't want to be secure and vibrant and sustainable?
Absolutely, but you need to have a vision for people to get behind and for government to go ahead and deliver on. And part of the plan includes principles for government that government should use as a reference point in terms of delivery for the people, because that's what matters. People care about what happens when they step out their doors and go about their day-to-day life. So with those themes, people can talk about well-being, but actually that cuts across so many different ways. Issues for young people cuts across so many themes. So there's a lot to do, but I'm confident that the approach set out will help it be dealt with in the right way.
Some people might say, you've been set up to govern. We voted for you. You're in there now. Get on with it. This is like feels like you're going back to the public all the time for their input. It's going to be just messy. As I said at the beginning, it's very tricky to get a consensus, isn't it, on a way forward properly by taking everyone's views into. There will
always be differences, but there is such a need to set a clear direction and agenda for the island, that actually it's much better to at least be open to different voices and different views and inputs at an early stage, rather than just say, right, this is it, guys, here's the plan for the next 5 years.
Are you confident this is going to go through properly, and a decent bit of documentation, not just fuzzy when it's finished? You planning this is going to be a really... Is it going to be a game changer? Or will it just be steady as she goes? I
think it needs to be a game changer, because government needs to change how it does things. The island's had a tough time. We really need to refocus and recover. Certainly from my perspective, I was calling for a reset of approach. I stood on an agenda for, renew, revive, reform. Many MHKs will now be looking to see government change and deliver and the right focus on things. So I am absolutely confident that it's the right vision for the island. Absolutely think it is the right approach, and I think that establishing clearly in the early days those key mechanisms and set up to make sure that the delivery is there and the thought is there is actually what matters for people in terms of what they encounter on their day-to-day lives and what sort of future we build for people.